Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I'm doing this a bit late tonight, but I wanted to get this out and ready for you guys for next week. I will be doing another top 5 album ranking tonight, and the band I'm choosing is Electric Light Orchestra. Now, for those of you who have been living in a cave for the last 40 some odd years and don't know, the Electric Light Orchestra, or a UK pop rock symphonic pop band from Birmingham, England. They formed in 1970. The core members were at the time Jeff Lynne, Roy Wood, and Beth Bevan. Now, they were previously called The Move, and then they changed their name to Electric Light Orchestra in 1970. They released their debut album, self-titled, in 1971. Roy Wood left the band in 1972 to form Wizard, which left Jeff Lynne and Beth Bevan as the core members. They were soon joined by Richard Tandy on keyboards and assorted instruments. Now, Jeff Lynne, when Roy Wood left, assumed primary songwriting duties for the band and produced all the albums that they released. And between 1971 to 1983, they basically released an album a year, released another album, Balance of Power, in 1986, and then took an extended break, meaning they broke up. Okay. And they reunited in the late 90s, early 2000s, released one album called Zoom under the title of Jeff Lynne's ELO. But for this list, I'm going to be focusing on the 70s. Because for me, I believe that that's where they were at their peak. As I said, between 1971 and 1983, they were on a writing streak and a popularity streak that I'm not going to say it was unrivaled or unmatched, but they were at a point in their career in the mid 70s where they could do no wrong. You turned on the radio, and back when they had dials, every radio station that you turned the dial to, every top rock or pop station, you basically heard an ELO track on the radio. So you couldn't escape them. And they were tunesmiths. They were able to craft a pop tune, a rock tune like no one's business. But the difference with ELO is that they heavily incorporated symphonic arrangements and elements into the music. And as much as Brian May of Queen has said that the Beatles were the band's Bible, I believe it was much more prevalent with ELO, like much more prevalent. So I'm going to attempt to give you my top 5 ELO albums. Okay. So here we go. Coming in at number 5 is El Dorado. Released in 1974. Again, produced by Jeff Lynne. All these albums were produced by Jeff Lynne primarily. Like he basically took the lead on all of the songwriting and producing. This is considered to be their first full concept album. And according to Jeff Lynne, it's basically the story of someone who is tired of living their day-to-day life, mundane, routine daily life, and escape. They want to escape into a world of fantasy. The leadoff single was Can't Get It Out of My Head, which was a hit on both sides of the Atlantic. Also, another track that is that's known is Mr. Kingdom, which, if you hear it, you can hear influences of Across the Universe from the Beatles. It's there. It's right there in the melody. And you can easily pick it out. So again, the Beatles were quite influential on the band. The album does start off with an overture. It being a concept album, it has a beginning, middle, and an ending. It is a great album. Mm-hmm. And if you notice on the cover, you have a shot of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz when she has the ruby slippers on, and the Wicked Witch goes in to try and take the slippers off her, and she's not able to. So that shot in itself, for me, is iconic as an album cover. But again, just because it comes in at number 5 doesn't mean it's a bad album. It's just I put the list together in terms of the albums that I go to the most to listen to. So that's number 5. Coming in at number 4 is Discovery. From 1979, with songs like Shine a Little Light, Diary of Horace Wimp, Don't Bring Me Down. This is basically their disco album. I mean, if you hear Shine a Little Light, I mean, the arrangement of the track, the chugging of the guitars and the drums, the arrangement. I mean, it's basically a disco album. This was at a time where bands like ELO, like the Rolling Stones, did Miss You in 1978 from Some Girls. Rod Stewart had Do You Think I'm Sexy from Blondes Have More Fun. So, and Queen would a year later release another one, Bites of Dust, from The Game. So, were ELO destined to do a disco tinged album, I should say? Yeah, probably. And you also had groups like ABBA that did Voulez-Vous, which is their most disco-oriented album out of their whole catalog. Little side note, people have said that ABBA were disco from the beginning. I don't agree with that whatsoever, but that's my very humble opinion. Discovery is a fantastic album. Jeff Lynne's ability to write melodies and hooks and multi-track his vocals, to harmonize with himself and just build up layers and textures of harmonies, is unmatched. Like really unmatched. And also, he was not afraid to take the reins and do things all on his own. I mean, Don't Let Me Down was basically Jeff Lynne on all instruments and vocals. Like, really, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but I don't mean this in a bad way, but Jeff Lynne was basically ELO. I mean, just like Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull could be considered Jethro Tull. Jeff Lynne can be considered ELO. That's not to say that Beth Bevan or Richard Tandy did not contribute. They did, and they did so fantastic. Beth Bevan on drums. He would go on to play with Black Sabbath for a brief time. Amazing drummer, just amazing, just unreal. But I digress. Back to the album ranking. Coming in at number 3 for me is Face the Music. Released in 1975. This was the first album that would be engineered by Reinhold Mack. Reinhold Mack, or people know as Mack by his last name, worked with Giorgio Moroder, and also would produce Billy Squier, and worked predominantly with Queen in the 80s. Face the Music starts off with Fire on High, the instrumental track, which for me is great because it has different sections to it. You know, beautiful acoustic guitar work on that track. Overall, just amazing. Other songs of note on Face the Music is Strange Magic and Evil Woman. Now, Evil Woman was written at the last minute, according to Jeff Lynne, because they needed they needed to fill the album out more. They had 7 songs, and Evil Woman made 8. And as a filler track, this turned out to be one of their biggest hits from the album, if at all, like overall in terms of hits. I don't know how many times I've heard this track, Evil Woman, on Kato compilations in the mid 70s. It was unreal. Coming in at number 2 is, and this was hard to do. Number 2 and number 1 basically were doing flips back and forth for me. But I'm going to stick to this list. Number 2 for me is Out of the Blue. Released in 1977 with that iconic shot of the spaceship with the mothership with the jet flying into the dock, the loading dock. That album cover is iconic. I mean, the minute you saw that spaceship and that logo of ELO, you knew who it was. Even if English was not your first language, you recognized that logo. Swear to God. Again, released as a double album in October of 77, the same time that Meatloaf released Bad Out of Hell. And the rumor is, I'm not sure if this is true, but the rumor is that Meatloaf opened for ELO on this tour, and he was kicked off midway into the tour because the crowds were going nuts for Meatloaf over ELO, so they basically kicked him off the tour. This album is fantastic. It starts off with Turn to Stone. I mean, again, symphonic arrangements all over the bloody place. You know, the 4th single from the album, It's Over. Other songs of note, Sweet Talking Woman. You know, you have side 3 that has Concerto for a Rainy Day, which basically was inspired by the chalet where Jeff Lynne was held up in to write this album. He was basically surrounded by rain and snow and sleet and really crappy weather. And he wrote this album, 17 tracks, in 3.5 weeks. So it took 2 months to record, but the initial writing for the album, 3.5 weeks. And he wrote every track on this album. So you figure, you know. And on side 3, it ends with Mr. Blue Sky. Now, Mr. Blue Sky over the years has been on many soundtrack compilations and many movies. But I've always loved this song. And Jeff Lynne had said that he wrote the song after one morning, after it being really crappy outside, raining and snowing, etc. He woke up one morning and the sun was coming through the windows, and the mountains were like crystalline with like snow on top of the mountains, and he just was inspired to write the track. So it's a fantastic piece of work. Other songs of note are the instrumental The Whale on the album. Again, this album for me being a number 2, up until I started doing the video tonight, it was probably going to be number one, but but it isn't. It's number two is still pretty good. Number one for me is A New World Record. Released in 1976. This album for me is basically pop perfection. It's perfection. It starts off with Tightrope. And again, I mean, every track on these albums, on the albums on the list, there's always a symphonic element to the arrangement, whether it be a small little cello piece or a full-out orchestration section. You're going to get that with ELO, and this album is no different. Again, starts out with Tightrope. Again, I was reminded of that song when I got the album a few years ago, and I did go out to a record store here in Edmonton called Sound Connection, which is no longer in business. But I did. I walked out with every single ELO album that they had in the store, as I did with Jethro Tull back in 2010 when I first moved here. But getting back to the album, yeah, Tightrope starts it. Rock Aria is another fantastic song. So Fine, Do Ya, Living Thing is just beautiful. It's pop confection, you know, along with my favorite track on the album, and it will always be my favorite track on the album, Telephone Line. Track 2 on side 1, released as a single, and this was the album that broke them in North America. Pretty much, it was this international smash, and I do believe that it broke them in the UK. It finally gave them a platform in the UK in terms of the charts. Telephone Line for me is a very emotional track. It's beautifully arranged. The drums come in so heavy on the drum fills, but they're also very soft. Very there's a light touch that Bev Bevan has on the drums, and the symphonic arrangement to it is just it's heart-wrenching to me to listen to it. I love it so much. I cannot get enough of this track. But the overall album is fantastic. And also the track Do Ya. I don't know if I mentioned that, but Do Ya is another good track. It's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, this is my list. I will recap. Number 5, El Dorado. Number 4, Discovery. Number 3, Face the Music. Number 2, Out of the Blue. Bit of a rhyme there. And number 1, A New World Record. So that is my list. Please put your comments down below. Do you like ELO? Do you not like ELO? Do you think they're overrated? Do you think they're the best band since sliced bread? You know, let me know what you think. Everyone has their opinion, and there are no wrong answers, okay? So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for any new content that I'm going to have coming up. I'm working on an idea for other videos. I'm going to be doing I'm working on another idea of influential debut albums, and not so much albums that were a hit, but albums that basically changed the mindset of the public at large in terms of the music that was presented on these certain debut albums. So hopefully you guys are having a great night. Please, again, look after yourselves and one another, and I will be talking to you very soon. Have a good day. Bye for now.